Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on Eclipse Day, April 8, 2024. Just around 7:30 p.m. So as promised, I'm going to read a letter dated April 19, 2020. This letter was written shortly after this individual visited me here in Kentucky. Okay, I'm going to read the letter as it is. I'm going to omit names of certain local police that work at, locally here. And we'll go from there. So again, the letter is dated April 19, 2020. So it's quite timely during this eclipse to be reading this. And also we're in what's called a Mercury retrograde. Mercury is the planet of communication, and it's in an apparent backward motion. Apparent meaning it's really not backwards. It's just it stands still and then moves back through the degrees of its sign, tracing back over certain energetic points. And then what happens is it will turn direct on the 25th. And I believe that will trigger some of what is happening with this eclipse. But anyway, it's apropos for me to be reading something from the past now during Mercury retrograde. Now, I will mention that I did provide this letter to some other whistleblowers. I'll say whistleblowers. High-level whistleblowers who told me to not send this letter to any public officials. So anyway, I'm going to start off. Now, he's writing this to our former Sheriff Hayes. He retired. Sheriff Paul Hayes in Kentucky here. He has the email address and the phone number. Dear Sheriff Hayes, I hope my letter finds you well. And I'm not writing this letter. Again, this letter is written, and as I'm reading the letter, you will realize who's writing this letter, okay? And for the record, this gorgeous oil painting is an original by Linda Russell. Linda's Angel Arts. It's entitled Angel Blessings, January 11, 2023. Dear Sheriff Hayes, I hope my letter finds you well and in good spirits. About this writer, I am a twice retired chief of police out of Florida and retired chief deputy constable out of Alabama. I have served every area of public safety from law enforcement, corrections at all levels, and EMS, fire rescue, private armed bodyguard, private investigation, armed private security. My 40-plus year career has taken me through 5 states in all types of the field. I have worked for one of the largest police agencies in America and among the smallest alike. So after reading and doing my research on your office and the county seat, the police department, and its chief of police in here, Chief Jonathan, I won't say his name, I do well understand that you are critically low on manpower and very necessary equipment. I know that you and the chief, he's using the word chief, but that's not the way it works here. It's the sheriff. Are very experienced law enforcement officers. So I am puzzled by a friend of mine who lives in your jurisdiction as to the lack of proper incident documentation and investigations and action. I will get to her shortly. My friend wants all your current incident reports immediately. I personally drove there, and on purpose I followed my GPS knowing it was not correct, to make contact with local folks who I interviewed about my friends. I was told many things. Things like, she came from up north, and she doesn't live like we do here. Other things were said, specifically that she keeps cats and has a separate nice building for them And we find that strange, or similar wording to that. The informant said, "We know about her being a witch card reader and a minister." And then he says, "I got the point." I continued on and asked other people about how to find her, and everybody knew where she lived and all about her. My concern here is my friend is extremely private and does not discuss her religious beliefs with anyone unless she knows you well. So how did all these local people find out when she only knows a couple of neighbors? That also tells me that slander is afoot, to the point that local people and others have taken such slander upon her and is obviously used to perpetuate these hate crimes against her. With so many cats missing, poisoned, murdered, 15 at this point, 15. Now, it's 31. If these 2 cats don't return, it's 31. It is a self-evident truth that her religious beliefs, as the general public understands them to be, true or false, is irrelevant. This has created religious hate crimes against her based on bad actors' false beliefs, their own mens rea, which is the criminal intent of mind. So far, that's pretty normal in small communities. However, since she recently moved to blank and is very private in her personal life, that so many seem to know all about her in her private life, it was more than a bit strange. Even in small towns, if you ask several people about someone new, some will know a little, some will still not know anything. It was strange that she's so well known all over the county. It appears that more people know about her than you as the sheriff, which is creepy and concerning. While interviewing these local folks throughout the county, I gave my cards out to several well-traveled men and women. I have been contacted by an individual who said she would tell me everything she knew, but only on the agreement of non-disclosure, which I agreed to. It really does not matter, as I have no way of knowing the female's name, as she did not give it to me and I did not ask. I made presumption that she believed that I knew who she was. Keep in mind that based on the general and totality of all bad acts, it's always directed towards my friend, her property, or the cats. Any reasonable man could deduce by simple logic that the testimony of the informant woman to the actual events are self-evident truth. The first-hand knowledge she gave me of her testimony was as follows. She says, "Is this the chief?" He says, "Yes." "Are you the one that came up here for that witch with the cats?" I answered, "Yes, I was the one that came up there." She said, "Okay," and went on to say words specific or similar to, quote, "Well, you know she ain't from around here. She came from New Jersey. People around here don't like Yankees to start with because they're so different. But mainly she's a witch and she has magic cats. And she sends them out late at night to steal folks' souls and put spells on other folks while they are out." I kid you not, folks. I kid you not. This lady went on with first-hand knowledge, and in continuing her testimony, she states that while she has never done any acts against my friend, this woman said, "I know who all has, and that she can't out them, or they will know it was from her. And she's from a line of original settlers from the 1700s, so they might unalive her." So, based upon her real-life incredible thread of her life, she will not specifically ID or give the names of these criminal actors to me. She thinks it's wrong, but has to stay out. She indicated that you know a lot about it. In fact, she said, to get elected sheriff around here, these parts, The sheriff has to be well known and liked by all sorts of folks. The sheriff might not do his job because he's afraid of them underscored too. Without questioning you upon your oath of office, integrity, etc., my dear colleague, I must ask if there's any truth to you having any direct specific knowledge of these events. I am caught in the middle here, as my friend has said that she has been to your office at least 7 times to obtain accurate incident reports that were to no avail. She has talked to you more than once with no avail. It does not look good for you. As sheriff, when I have specific direct testimony of these 2 ladies, I will allow you to defend yourself. If you wish to defend yourself and your elected office, I suggest that you act in a timely manner no more than a week from the date of this receipt. If not in law, silence is presumption of guilt in its general operation. So I will serve you as processed through the United States Post Office. I truly hope you have proper defense to these claims of color of law violation. I've been instructed by my good friend to move forward with these hate crimes based upon the evidence at hand. Perhaps you do not have the knowledge or ability to handle such crimes. But if that be the case, the Kentucky State Police should have helped you, or local constables, or the chief of police, or a joint task force. I have worked on joint task force in Florida and Alabama, and I believe in all these many months, you have had ample time to investigate these crimes repeatedly. My friend is running out of time. As you know, the crimes are escalating. And this is 2020, guys. It's now almost 4 years later. Escalation, as you know, nearly always ends in someone's tragic death. I promise you, if anything happens to my friend, I will, along with the FBI, Kentucky State Police, and my attorneys, hold you responsible for your lack of action. This is not a threat, but a solid promise to carry out the law in a just and lawful manner. Based upon my training and field experience in the occult, satanic groups, as well as extremist white-wing Christians, I will create these type of crimes upon their victims for numerous reasons. To interfere with their religious freedoms or to harm them up to unaliving or force them to move out. My friend is not moving and demanding your protection of her as sheriff. I have friends that plan to move there and stay on her land if need be. However, these men will not play nice if they catch these evil people and will take extreme action within the law to defending their own lives. I hope we can avoid that. Well, I'm just going to say, guys, the one thing you should never do in a letter is threaten anybody if you're not going to move on with the threat. Okay? And this was actually confronted. I was confronted about this when I brought my neighbors to court. The judge had the audacity to say, okay, so, oh yeah, I see here. So where are those people that moved into your property? He was mocking the letter. Mocking this letter, mocking the person. When I recently visited, I took video and photos, and I observed way too many of what I call, quote-unquote, telltale signs of religious hate crimes to count. Wall art was turned to an angle, crooked, small laser and burn-like cuts in the wood in a downside square and compass, meaning that they're against you. This was observed by me in the Home and Cat Building, which is a nonprofit. It also appears in my friend's new shed. Special marks as well were all over the nonprofit cat building and on the abode of my friend. These marks, cuts, burns, indentations, and the like are inside and outside the buildings. I observed all of the above, as well as small screws were loosened or missing from new buildings. My friend had to tighten them and replace them over time. I've observed what appears to be a man or a woman with an axe or bolt cutter late at night going to my friend's abode on video. And in the morning, my friend finds the locks cut off, and a cat missing or hurt or poisoned. Now, I will attest to the fact that my cameras then caught that video. In the first video, you see what appears to be a man carrying a bolt cutter. In the next video, the audio are 2 gunshots. He fired shots in front of my house, October 2019. I gave that to the sheriff, who performed no investigation. And by the way, our current sheriff was a deputy at the time. Do you think he didn't know about it? The letter goes on to say, I'm attaching 2 lists. The first list is a list of stolen items as well as cats being poisoned or otherwise damaged. The second list is a list of vandalized items. Much of this has already been reported to you and or your investigators. Some things may be new to you. This whole thing smacks of too many questions that can't be answered. My staff wants me to go straight to the U.S. Department of Justice, Division of Civil Rights, for investigation and prosecution of all bad actors under federal titles and codes. This link below will help you better understand. This is https://www.fbi.gov/investigate/civil rights/hate crimes. This is a no-brainer. My friend is an ordained minister. Yes, I am, folks. I don't talk about it, but yes, I am an ordained minister. The local bad actors are in full hate mode and are using her religious beliefs as they see them to commit these numerous crimes. Just after I arrived, people came walking down the street and were rubbernecking on me. I saw one lady in a car take a photo based on the angle of my front license plate that is law enforcement tag of an association that I support. And after that, the people never came back. And all the traffic stopped until I departed. I've asked my friends, as the actual victim, to allow me to go to you directly, to allow you to answer for yourself and your conduct, behavior, and the like. She's agreed to allow me for service and for a week for you to answer. However, if you do not answer, or it lacks satisfaction, or you go to speak to her directly and get your office in gear, and with all due haste solve and prosecute the bad actors responsible for these crimes. In fact, you should actually bring in the FBI, who will have to do an investigation for justice at some point in the future anyway, and that gives you access to manpower and equipment. And should you solve this, you will become a local hero and will seal your position as sheriff until you get ready to retire from office. One final note of interest. My friend is an extremely intelligent woman with several degrees and certifications, including a master's degree. In fact, she's a psychologist. She has so much education under her belt as well as street smarts. I think the locals, based upon their own myths, slander, and the like, have chosen and targeted the wrong lady to commit their criminal acts of religious hate upon. I truly hope you make the correct choice. And the legal disclaimer is, I'm not an attorney nor a judge. I further, the common law is the highest form of law in America. Further, the Constitution of the United States of America is the law of the land, along with the people's compacts in all. Finally, I state that my words mean what I say they do. No assumption or presumption can be made. No other assignments to be made to my words, phrases, or the like. I reserve the right now forevermore to correct any errors, as and if I come to the knowledge that some such exists. And then the victim he writes my name, my address, and then he writes it's regarding the cats at Freya's Cat Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit charity sanctuary. The writer, the service, and the contact information or service, this was Damon R. Jones, care of SCOS Ministries. I won't give his address. In respect, I am Damon R. Jones electronically. Dr. Reverend Colonel Damon Chief Jones, Chief of Police, retired Florida, Senior Pastor, SCOJ Ministers, Chancellor, SCOJ University, Deputy Sheriff, Leon County, State of Florida, line of duty retirement, stopping a homicide in progress. Chief of Staff, Chief Deputy, retired Alabama, Office of Constable, Alabama, and law enforcement. He was a peace officer, public safety, from 1978 to 2018, 40 plus years. Again, this letter is dated April 19, 2020. It was sent certified mail and regular mail. What happened was, evidently the sheriff received the letter and handed it over to Ross Murray, the county lawyer. The county lawyer claims he never received it. And then he claimed that he responded. Yet, this writer, which was not me, this retired chief of police, never received the response. But this has become a pattern of negative behavior. It has become a pattern of psychological abuse. It has become a pattern of gaslighting. And I'm just going to read back that he deliberately, he knew, and I told him over the phone, I said, your GPS will not take you to my house. It'll take you everywhere. And he said, that's okay. He said, yeah, he wanted to stop off and see if people knew me. Now you have to understand, guys, when I moved here in 2019, I knew nobody. Zero. No one. By the writing of this letter, I believe I knew maybe 2 or 3 or 4 neighbors. That's it. Nobody else. And back then, I had a different postal carrier, a different UPS guy, a different Federal Express guy than I have now. All of the people that I had then, I no longer have. They retired. They're gone. So yes, he claims that he received a phone call from a woman who said that she had first-hand knowledge, who claims that she never participated in any of the acts against me, but that she knew everyone that was involved. She said that she could not out them because they will unalive her, because she has an original line of settlers here in this area since the 1700s. So based upon her real-life incredible threat of life, she will not specifically ID or give the names of these criminal actors to him. She thinks it's wrong, but she has to stay out. She indicated that you know a lot about it. In fact, she said, in order to get elected sheriff around here, around these parts, the sheriff has to be well known and liked by all sorts of folks. You get my drift? The sheriff might not do his job because he's afraid of them, too. Okay? So, I look forward to your questions and comments, men and women, targeted people out there. This was a certified letter sent to the retired former sheriff, Paul Hayes, here in Jackson County, Kentucky, where I have now lived for almost 5 years. This letter was written April 19, 2020. And yeah, I'm speaking out now because 2 of my cats are missing. If they don't return, that makes 31 cats. And you can rest assured that I will not remain silent. I will make waves and get as many YouTube creators out there to discuss the Kentucky witchcraft in Jackson County, and that this sheriff's office has known about it since 2020. Please leave your comments down below, and also please hit the thumbs up. My last video that I posted it finally had like 9 likes, but it was voted down to 50% because the criminals don't want this out there. They don't want it to populate it. They don't want my videos recommended to other YouTube creators or other people listening to my work here. We need to get the message out there, so please hit the thumbs up. I might have another video for you later today. It's getting later here, so I'm going to have to get my birdies to sleep. But thank you, everybody, for listening to my story, for listening to this. I really do look forward to your questions and comments here. And if you or anybody else that you know has written such a letter to your sheriff's department, and if you received any response, and what that response may or may not have been. Again, Linda Russell painted this one-of-a-kind angel blessings on this solar eclipse of April 8, 2024, and it is Mercury retrograde, and everything will come to light as the light increases, and when Mercury turns direct on March 25, I guarantee all hell's going to break loose. Not only here, but across the United States. So please keep the faith. Pray. Pray for this this world. And that people that perform satanic rituals, animal sacrifices, be exposed. And I, for one, will make sure that that happens.